Well, hello there and welcome back to another video. This time unscripted because I'm currently working on the video for Saturday, and I also want to talk about Star Wars AHSOKA, especially episode 4. Yet I don't have the time to create both videos at the same time. So yeah, I use free-form videos for my reviews and for topics that don't fit in my current plan, because just to explain it, my scripted videos are already in an order. So my first video was why the Separatists didn't lose the Clone Wars after the Battle of Coruscant. Now, they did lose, but watch the video to understand what I mean. My next video will be about the Battle of Utapau, and I'll answer the question, where the heck was the fleet? The Separatist Navy was, I don't know, not present at least. And yeah, the video after that will be about a topic related to the Separatists and the last days of the war. And that's basically my plan, to tell a story and combine it partially with a theory. And I want to do that for several topics in Star Wars, so yeah, that's why I can't delay the video, because it would destroy the rhythm, if you know what I mean, or yeah, the flow. I think that's a better word. Now, back to Star Wars AHSOKA. The first thing I want to talk about is what happened to AHSOKA, because she woke up in the world between worlds after she was pushed over the edge by Balin. And at first I thought the daughter may have saved her, but there are two problems with that. The first is we don't see this. I don't know how it's called. This bird-like creature that is the daughter from Mortis, and then there's the fact that Anakin Skywalker is present. And to be honest, I believe that AHSOKA died. She may return, but I think she died. For the second time now. And that's because Anakin appeared. Why? I mean, the last time we saw the world between worlds was in the last season of Star Wars Rebels, after Kanan's death. And Ezra had to accept that Kanan was dead, but he couldn't, at least for some time. And that's one of the reasons why he was in the world between worlds, I believe. And he wanted to rescue Kanan like he rescued AHSOKA, but he couldn't. And he had to accept that Kanan is dead. But I asked the question, if Anakin is able to manifest in the world between worlds, why was Kanan unable to do it? You know what I mean? Oh, I mean, he could have just appeared in the world between worlds and said to Ezra, no, accept that I'm dead. Why didn't this happen? or why hadn't he done it? And I think the reason is that Ezra wasn't dead. And I think Ahsoka is dead. And I also believe that the world between worlds is a part, maybe, of the afterlife. Because it would make sense. I mean, the Force is this living energy that essentially controls the universe. But the Force doesn't care about past, present, and future. So if you die and you become one with the Force, it's only logical that you can see and hear anything at the same time, because the Force doesn't care about time. If that was the case, the world between worlds wouldn't exist. But the world between worlds is a thing, and therefore the Force don't cares about the timeline. So it's possible that Ahsoka died, and after her death she was transformed into the world between worlds. Some could even argue that this would have happened on Malachor as well. I mean, yeah, Ezra threw her into the world between worlds, but I wonder, why hasn't Vader thought about it? I mean, there was a hand from the void grabbing Ahsoka and pulling her out of reality, out of her own timeline, basically. And we never saw or heard about Vader thinking about this. It was like, casual. Why not? What if Ahsoka died on Malachor? But that's not a theory I believe. Just a theory that would answer some questions. However, it may be possible, but I don't believe that theory. But that theory is still possible. So, and we have to keep that in mind, because it is possible. At least until this question is answered, why Vader just ignored it. He just ignored that a hand came out of nowhere and pulled Ahsoka into whatever. Now, you could argue that Vader's or that this experience by Vader led to him informing the Emperor that something unusual had happened, and that the Emperor thought about it and looked into Jedi lore and found the world between worlds, and that this is the reason why the Emperor was looking for the world between worlds, because he, or not he, but his apprentice has seen what is possible with it. That you can essentially save someone else. Yeah, but to be honest, That's a little bit wacky, this theory. It's possible, but I want to have the question answered why Vader didn't care. But we are not here to talk about Rebels, although we have done it for the past minutes. To conclude, I believe AHSOKA is dead. But I also believe that she will return. Or maybe that she accepts to die. That she's offered to return, but she refuses. That's also a possibility, and that would explain why we can hear AHSOKA's voice in Rise of Skywalker. If you haven't seen the movie, or if you have decided to just delete your memory for some reason, Rey talks to some dead Jedi, basically, and among them is AHSOKA. So AHSOKA is dead during the time of the sequels. We don't know when she died, but I assume that she died before the First Order was a thing. Before the war with the Resistance. Because I believe that AHSOKA would have teamed up with the Resistance. So yeah, I believe she's already dead by that point. It's totally out of character for her to just ignore the Resistance and the First Order conquering the galaxy. Especially after Luke disappeared. So yeah, maybe she is going to accept death in the world between worlds. Maybe not in the next episode, but perhaps in the last. But yeah, I want to talk about Baylan. He is my main topic. And I watched the first episode a few weeks ago, or when it came out, and at first I thought that Baylan's performance wasn't really good. Not because Ray Stevenson is a bad actor, he's a very good actor, or was, sadly, but his face expression was depressing. Many Star Wars YouTubers say that Baylan is basically stealing the show because he's such a force, he's towering above everyone, and he's just this menace, but at the same time he isn't a monster. But I have a different feeling. I think Baylan looks depressed. At first I thought maybe Ray Stevenson was ill, or maybe mentally damaged or something like that, and that's why he looked so depressed. But after episode 4 I realized why that's the case, and that's because of his past. He hasn't revealed much of him, but the few bits we got are very important, and we can decipher some aspects of his past, the key aspects of his past, through conversations with AHSOKA and with Morgan Elsbeth. First of all, his conversation at the end of, I think it was episode 2, where he said that it would be a shame if AHSOKA was killed, and the Jedi lose another member. So he still cares for the Jedi. Then we got a similar scene in episode 4, where Morgan basically asks him if he's afraid, if I remember correctly. And I have forgotten what he answered, but essentially these two informations are very important, especially with the informations we got in the fight scene between, or before the fight scene between Baylan and AHSOKA. Baylan doesn't want the Jedi to die, obviously. But he also hates AHSOKA. And he's afraid of her. Maybe even terrified. Why? Because of Anakin. He knows that she is Anakin's apprentice, or was Anakin's apprentice, and as we learned, he knew Anakin Skywalker, or at least knew what he could do. He saw what he was able to do, and he also knows that Anakin transformed into Darth Vader, although the story is a little bit more complex because Darth Vader and Anakin Skywalker aren't different people. They are the same, but yeah, Vader is basically Anakin without anyone to care for. Watch the video, the character breakdown by Geetsleys if you want to know more. Now, that's maybe the reason why he's a little bit afraid or terrified. And it's possible that Baylan hoped that AHSOKA wouldn't come to the map and wouldn't confront him. Maybe he hoped that she would ignore this thing and just do something else, because he is terrified of her, or at least afraid, but he also doesn't want to kill her because she's a Jedi. But when she confronts him, we can't see this Baylan who is essentially calm and collected and doesn't want to kill her, because he was willing to kill her, and he may have killed her if my theory is correct. And why is that? And the face expressions are very important, because as I said, I saw a broken man, a depressed man in Baylan. Just look at his eyes. He is like this shell of a man who is desperately trying to have a greater goal, to grab onto something that he believes in, to achieve something that he believes in, because he has lost everything else. And in this fight scene, we don't see that Baylan. We don't see a depressed character. He's angry most of the time. Why? And we get the answer if we decipher some of the other dialogues, especially the dialogues between him and AHSOKA. And he said to AHSOKA that she left her master, and that he knows what happened to Anakin. And he also, in a scene previously, he said that I think that he it was something about betrayal. I can't remember, at least not in English terms. It was something about betrayal, that he knows betrayal or something like that. I'm sorry that I can't remember it correctly. And I think that this is connected. He doesn't say that Ahsoka left Anakin and that this was her mistake because he wanted to inflict some emotional damage or something like that. Because if he wanted to, he could have just throw Ahsoka against the wall and kill Sabine. If he wanted to emotionally damage her, but he doesn't want to. And we have seen in this episode that he isn't a Darksider. I mean, he convinced Sabine to give him this orb or this ball for the map. And then he destroys it. A Darksider would have killed Sabine after he got what he wanted. But Baylan protects her, or protected her. Shin wanted to kill her, but Baylan saved Sabine's life. And I think that this is very important, because Baylan isn't evil. Unlike Shin, I believe that Shin will explode, and she may not become a Sith Lord or similar to a Sith Lord, maybe more a Sith assassin, but the dark side is very strong in her. And she looks like a maniac who is going to explode soon. But Baylan, no. Baylan is calm and collected, and I think he really believes into something greater than him. And he believes that bringing Thrawn back to the galaxy may have a positive outcome for the galaxy. We don't know why, but I think that he believes it, and it's hinted at. Or he works with Morgan Elsbeth in order to kill Thrawn, or some unknown threat from the other galaxy. Maybe. We don't know. However, I think that everything I just said is very important in deciphering his past, because the betrayal he spoke about, I think that this betrayal wasn't the betrayal of the clones in Order 66 or the betrayal of Palpatine, but I believe that he was left by his master. Maybe both of them survived Order 66, but his master decided that it would be best if the two of them go separate ways in order to minimize the risk. I think that this left a mark on him. And I also believe, because of his dialogue with Ahsoka, that he makes her responsible for Anakin's fall to the dark side. And that this is the reason why he hates her. Because Anakin and Darth Vader had brought suffering. The whole galaxy essentially suffered because of Palpatine and Vader, and Anakin was an essential part of it. And it's unclear, but I don't believe that Balin knows about Anakin and Padme. He doesn't know what the reasons were for Anakin's fall to the dark side. Of course, Ahsoka's leaving of the Order played a role, but it wasn't the final push. But since he doesn't know it, he can only work with the information he has. And this information is Ahsoka left Skywalker, and few months later Skywalker falls to the dark side and builds an empire together with Palpatine. And yeah, if I know one thing, then that the past creates our current personality. At least it creates most of our personalities. Some people can not ignore, but can work with their past, so they can accept it and leave it. But most can't, and I don't think Balin can. At least not now. Or he couldn't do it. Maybe he can do it in the future. At the end of the show, maybe, or something like that. Maybe he will be redeemed. But yeah, I think that he is just traumatized. He was left by his master, maybe, and maybe his master became one of the Inquisitors. Or something else happened. It's even possible that, although this is unlikely, but it's possible that he, like Anakin or Vader, hates himself, because he feels like he has to do these horrible things and be a dark sider, or at least he has to ally with the devil, and he hates himself for that, but he sees no other option because of what happened in the past. Maybe. And maybe this is connected to, if my theory is correct, Balin's master leaving him. So that he makes his master responsible for him playing with the dark side sometimes. Or maybe he had fallen to the dark side at one point and partially returned. We can't say it. The only thing I can say with absolute certainty is that he has some bad experience with a master leaving his student, or the other way around, and that he hates Ahsoka because he believes that Ahsoka is responsible for the rise of Darth Vader. I think that that's the reason why he hates her so much. Now, I don't know for sure, but the coming episodes will reveal the truth, at least I hope. However, what do you think about it? Did you enjoy episode 4 of the series? Do you enjoy Star Wars Ahsoka as a whole so far? And thank you for listening to this very long video, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye, and may the Force be with you.